I've been in a small town in California for quite some time now, and I didn't have very many friends. Although there was that one boy with his sister that had stayed about 3 blocks away from me. I have 2 classes with him, so one day after class, I walked up to him and greeted him to make a good impression. I told him my name, and he frantically replied with telling me that his name was Jake. I was wondering what was wrong with him, but I shrugged it off because it might make him uncomfortable to talk about it. It's been 2 hours since I've talked to him, and for some reason I felt uneasy. As soon as I was out of school, I hurried home and went straight to sleep to rest my head a little. The next day, I saw him walking with his sister. I confronted them, and I didn't actually know she was his sister until then. As I asked for her name, it seemed like she wouldn't take her eyes off of me. Not for 1 second. And her brother said that her name was Dana. I acknowledged the name, and he smiled, but she didn't. She just kept staring. I began to get a little freaked out, so I tried to ignore it the best I could. Jake said that they were going to be late for an event after school they had. I just looked at them getting further and further away, and all I could think about were her bright blue eyes. I just went home and watched TV to calm myself down, and I heard a really dull knocking on the door. But it was still noticeable. I slowly walked to the door and opened it, and saw a note on the grass. It had the words, "I see you," in big, sloppy letters and a picture. It was me, on my bed watching TV. It was taken from my window. But that can't be possible, because I have my window covered with thick cardboard. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife and stayed in my room all night. I didn't sleep at all, because anything could happen. I went to school the next day, and saw Jake crying on the bathroom floor. I was the only one that gathered the courage to ask him what was wrong. He said that Dana died yesterday. I didn't want to tell him what happened to me last night. I just sat there frozen in shock from what I've just heard. Everywhere I went, I felt like I was being watched. I haven't had a feeling like this before. You know, the feeling that you get when you think you're on the verge of death. I just walked slowly home, looking everywhere to make sure no one was following me. I saw Dana at the corner of my eye by one of my neighbors, and I got a full visual. She had a dress covered in blood, and somehow the eyes stood out to me the most. Once I blinked, she was gone. I ran home as fast as I could and locked the door, closed the windows, and turned only a few lights on. I hear more knocks at the door, but the longer I wait, the louder it got. I opened the door again, and there was another note on the grass. It said, "Kill Jake or you'll die." After reading that, I knew I couldn't do it. The next day, Jake had gotten ran over, and I watched the news, and I saw Jake in a coma. I heard the knocking again. I saw Dana, and she held up a note that read, "I'll spare you." It's been a month since all of this has happened, and I still can't stop looking over my shoulder, thinking someone's behind me. Hearing knocks on the door, even though they weren't really there. Whatever. I'm just glad this was over.